Oh, we have a few more people popping on right now. Thank you. We are just going to give it one extra minute and we'll be getting started shortly. All right, I think we can start with some introductions and get the ball rolling on this evening, and perhaps it's going to last for an hour-long webinar, and we do have another one on Wednesday as well in the morning. Am I correct, Simon?
Yes, exactly.
Great. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. And we have about 15 people already signed on, and we are expecting about 26 people to join us today. My name's Louisa Marcel. I'm the Executive Director of Ontario by Bike Transportation Options, and I'm here with my colleague Simon.
Yeah, thanks, Louisa. My name's Simon Lutz, and I work as a project and marketing coordinator with Louisa on the Ontario by Bike network.
Yeah, and we're expecting, like I said, about 26 people to join us from a variety of different businesses, organizations, and affiliations across Perth County, St. Mary's, and Stratford. Just to name a few that are joining us today: Cycle Stratford, the Canadian Baseball Hall of Fame, Avonview Manor, Perth County, St. Mary's BIA, Morningston Rose Bed and Breakfast, and a number of other businesses and locations across the county. So welcome to everybody. And just some good news, Simon and I are very good at keeping to the 1 hour deadline, and this webinar will for sure wrap up by 8 o'clock. So we have a lot of great information to share with you today, and without further ado, we'll get started. So yeah, we have a number of topics to cover and to get you familiar with cycle tourism and our program and how it is newly expanding as of today, and it will be available for Perth County, St. Mary's, and Stratford for businesses to become certified as bicycle friendly and hopefully further develop and promote cycle tourism and your area as a cycling destination to cyclists across Ontario and from further afield, when appropriate for visitors to visit your locations. So if you don't already know about the Ontario by Bike Network, what we're really trying to do is to develop and promote cycle tourism across Ontario and do that with a network of bicycle-friendly businesses, and also to overall enhance your region's cycle tourism product and get that information out to cyclists themselves. So we do that through a number of different program areas, such as our certification program, which you'll find out more about tonight. We have a number of promotional vehicles that we use to get the word out to cyclists. Our magazine that goes out annually. We usually go to a lot of cycling events and consumer shows to spread the word. We also host quite a few webinars, now more webinars, less in-person workshops. We do some consulting for different regions to help them develop their product, and we do research and host our own small group tours. So we are a non-for-profit organization run under the umbrella of Transportation Options. So we're really happy to be here today, and we would like to thank our partners for bringing our program and expanding it to your area, which include Perth County, Town of St. Mary's, and Destination Stratford. And we do have an opportunity for some words from our partners throughout the presentation, and I'm just going to quickly turn it over to Ashley because you had requested to say a few words right up front. So Ashley, if you want to unmute, thank you very much.
Sure, thanks Louisa, and thank you everyone for giving us an hour of your valuable time tonight. As Louisa mentioned, our teams in Stratford, St. Mary's, and Perth County are really excited about this collaboration, and we see a lot of economic opportunity in developing and enhancing our local and regional cycle tourism assets. So this partnership with Ontario by Bike and this focus on enhancing our cycling offerings is a great opportunity to diversify our tourism assets in a collaborative, logical way that's in alignment with current travel trends. So I hope everyone learns a lot at this webinar. I'm really looking forward to it. And we also look forward to working with you all to grow and embrace cycle tourism and put in the work to make Stratford, St. Mary's, and Perth County a top cycle-friendly destination of choice. Thanks, Louisa. I'll pass it back to you.
Thank you for your greetings and good words, Ashley. So we want to spend a little time to familiarize you with cycle tourism and what it is and the value of it, in case you're not already familiar with this market and haven't served many cyclists or aren't a cyclist yourself. So cycle tourism can really fall into a number of different categories and can incorporate road riding, trail riding, or mountain biking. But when we're looking at some traveling for cycle tourists, it falls into the following areas. So they might be coming to your area to do destination riding. So that might include an overnight trip where they are riding out from their accommodations, looping back to their accommodations, doing another cycling piece the next day. So kind of like a hub and spoke or drive and ride type of getaway. There's also the touring type of cycle tourism. So these folks are on longer trips, usually pretty self-sufficient and independent, multi-days. They could also be traveling with a support vehicle that might be carrying some extra goods. There's also events and tours, people that travel specifically to participate in these type of activities. And there's also people just coming to your area to experience a day or an afternoon ride and then going back to their homes nearby. Cycle tourists are really very similar to the definition the Ontario government uses for our tourists themselves. That's anybody from away from home for more than 40 kilometers they've traveled and not traveling for reasons of work or for education. And really they come in all different ranges of ability and definitely ages, and there's no exclusive categories. So one morning you might be out riding with the kids, and in the afternoon you might be doing some more competitive and longer distances. So the type of riders that we generally see fall under the leisure and family cyclists. These folks are looking for shorter types of rides and pretty exclusively on off-road, super safe cycling infrastructure trails. They might be stopping frequently, they might be going for an ice cream ride, and the next category up would be recreational cyclists. They can maybe want to ride up to 50, 60 kilometers in a day. They do have some comfort levels riding on roads, preferably with paved shoulders or some type of cycling infrastructure. And the following one would be touring and experienced cyclists who can definitely go for much longer distances, 100 kilometers or more a day. You can probably spot them a mile off on super expensive bikes, wearing Lycra shorts and shirts. There's also the racing and competitive cyclists, so they're traveling specifically to participate in those type of events. As well, there's the mountain bikers, gravel riders, cyclocross riders, and fat bikers that are growing in numbers as well. So overall, cycle tourists have very attractive demographics. We've looked at a number of studies around the world and conducted some of our own as well, and we found there's a lot of correlating data that generally shows the following type of demographics. The largest age group would be between 45 and 65 years of age, although we're seeing very healthy numbers on both ends of the spectrum and below and above. There's slightly more male cyclists than there are females, but that's definitely been trending to be a much more even split over the past couple of years. And the education level is higher, as well as the family household type of income. So why welcome cyclists? Well, what we're doing here in Ontario is not something that's specific to Ontario. We've seen programs like this, and we've modeled our program similar to some that are in Europe, as well as in New Zealand and Australia, in Oregon, in the States. And we're just really seeing some tremendous numbers that show that cycle tourism and the value of cycling in the US and Europe alone is really something substantial. There's some examples of the other programs that are quite similar to us in different countries around the world. The biggest one probably being Bet and Bike, which is in Germany and has about 4,500 different participating locations that are certified as bicycle friendly. So here in Ontario, some great things are certainly happening to support cycling, and of course that stems into the cycle tourism world as well. Back in 2013, the government started creating cycling strategies, action plans, and also released in 2017 under the former government a cycle tourism plan. We've also seen a nice increase in the infrastructure money that is available for different municipalities and jurisdictions over the years. And I got to say, in 2020, there's been a sharp uptick in installations of infrastructure in different regions to help support folks getting around more easily during the pandemic. So we do have some numbers that we're able to access to show you the value of cycle tourism in Ontario. These are actually the most recent numbers that we can access, 2018. It's not the overall story, but it's something, and you can imagine it's quite hard to get and track these type of numbers. So it does come from a Stats Canada travel survey, and it does show that about 1.6 million cycling visits happened in Ontario in that year, and that can attribute to about $893 million worth of spending. That same study also shows us that cyclists spend more and stay longer, which is great news, about $575 per trip versus $217 per trip for a non-cyclist, and a significant number of days more than the non-cyclist type of visitors. Where are the cycle tourists coming from? Well, it definitely ranges in where you are and where anybody is, but overall, about 75% of cycle tourists come from within Ontario. So that's very similar to our overall tourism numbers. The largest majority of visitors in Ontario are from Ontario themselves. The other cycle tourists are coming from other Canadian provinces, primarily from Quebec, which has a huge cycling culture there, as well as international destinations in years not such as 2020 and 2021. But in the past, they have been coming mostly from France, UK, and Germany. As well, we've seen over the years the number of American cyclists coming north of the border grow as well, and hopefully we'll be back to that soon when the borders are able to reopen. So where are they spending their money? Well, the largest expense categories when they're cycling are definitely accommodations, foods, and transportation. So cyclists do prefer to stay in hotels. Some of our studies have shown us they're not just campers or looking to go home every single night. They're spending significant dollars at their accommodations of their choice. They're also hungry and thirsty and stopping at cafes or restaurants along the way or after their ride. About 29% of their expenditures in studies that we conducted were on food and beverage, and about 40% spent over $50 per day on food and beverage. So when they're visiting different destinations, they're not just cycling. There's a lot of other activities that cyclists like to participate in, such as visiting museums and cultural sites, experiencing some culinary tastes of the area that they're in, perhaps some wine and beer tasting, going to the beach if there's a beach, hiking, and other outdoor pursuits, as well as visiting art galleries and studios. So we've done our own studies on some of our own rides that we host, and we've found that on our rides, the average spent per person on a 2-day, 1 overnight is about $314, while on a 3-day, it's about $550. So when you look at, if you see some cyclists in your area and you know that they're staying overnight, you can be assured that they're spending something very similar to this right there directly in your communities, supporting your local businesses. So just some more information on ride and travel preferences cyclists are having. So we're in our studies over the years, we have found that more recreational type of cyclists are now making overnight cycling trips that include taking their bicycle. We've also found that cyclists do tend to enjoy riding in groups, and where possible. I mean, it's quite easy currently, and when restrictions ease, to continue that, as cycling does lend itself very well to the current times. We're also, some of our studies did point to the fact that about 56% of the cyclists prefer taking self-guided trips, self-supported trips, making up their own itineraries and routes as they go. So where are they finding the information about different cycling destinations? Our studies have shown that pre-trip, they are definitely looking more at websites than any other source. But once they are actually at the destination, they are also consulting printed cycling maps that they might have access to, as well as using their smartphone apps to help navigate different routes. So while this information has been recently reconfirmed with one of our surveys that we did in 2020, where it does continue to show that print is not dead, and digital forms are also being used as well. So we put together a little bit of information to show about the impacts on cycling from the pandemic. And we really saw in 2020 a great uptick in cycling, and perhaps you're seeing this on the roads and on the trails in your area. We also found out that 92% of cyclists had increased the amount of cycling that they did in 2020, while more cyclists definitely stayed closer to home. This is not just information that we've just peculiar to Ontario. It's definitely a global phenomena, and we're seeing a huge surge and bike boom across the world, and some of the numbers that we've collected really correlate with that too. And one of the interesting ones that people have talked about is what's going to happen to cycling after the pandemic's over, and we certainly hope that is very soon. But all those new cyclists are not planning on putting away their bikes post-pandemic. So I think we've got a great new crowd of cyclists and cycle tourists growing in our midst. We've also, you've probably read about the great demand for bicycles. Very, very hard to find a bicycle for sale even nowadays, and parts and pieces for bikes are becoming increasingly hard to access to. And along with that is different regions and countries are prioritizing spending on cycling infrastructure as well. So when we did our survey in the fall, we did find that about 79% of cyclists were anticipating being able to make non-local regional travel plans this coming summer, once restrictions were making that possible. And the Ontario government has noted it as the year of the staycation, trying to promote more folks staying in Ontario, vacationing in Ontario. And we say, why not call it the year of the bikecation? As well as all the stats that we've collected from other different sources, we're really finding a huge increase in demand for the information and resources that we have. Our website, like 100% increase in visitors every single month for the past couple of months. Huge demand for our annual Cycling in Ontario magazine, as well as some of the rides that we organize sold out in record time this year, and we have huge waiting lists for our small group tours. So while it's certainly a challenging time for businesses in this environment, you know, about Ontario and BC, I think their tourism businesses are the hardest hit segment out of all of Canada. But the good news is we have domestic tourism, and hopefully we'll be returning to that soon. And there can be a huge jump and almost equalization, making up for the loss of visitors from out of province and internationally, just with domestic tourism. And some data that we find of interest, and we are tracking from Destination Canada, is the travel comfort levels. So the last that we've seen this report was in March 2021, prior to the current lockdown. And it was showing that Ontario residents were feeling a little bit more safe when traveling to other communities nearby, about 75%. Communities nearby, 64% felt safe when thinking about traveling within Ontario, so to another region outside of their own. As well, another important factor to note is how residents are welcoming cyclists and welcoming visitors in general. And that was on an upward trajectory as well prior to the previous lockdown, with increasing number of Ontarians would welcome visitors to their local communities. Now I'm going to turn it over to Simon.
Thanks, Lisa. So yeah, I would like to dive a little bit deeper into the cycle tourism market in your area for Perth County, St. Mary's and Stratford, as we are very excited to roll out this program in your area and help you to promote all your cycle tourism assets and get more businesses certified with our bicycle friendly business program to really drive cyclists into the region and give them an opportunity to experience all those great cycle routes that are available. So as part of the program expansion across Perth County, we have created a number of resources and gathered information that we use to populate our Great Places to Cycle webpage and also our Welcome Cyclist toolkit that which will go out to all the participating businesses in your area that they can use to promote cycling information. And we really looked at a variety of information on regional and municipal levels, which includes cycling trails, routes, events, and also maps that are available, community and partner supports, events that are happening in the area, and the cross-regional connectivity. And so based on that information, we created that Great Places to Cycling webpage, which is now online on our website under the Perth County sublink. So cyclists and visitors can go on our website and find all that information when they are looking for cycling information in Perth County, St. Mary's, and Stratford. So the way we organize and structure the information to make it easily accessible and simple for people to find what they're looking for, we split it up in different ride types and make sure we have all the information on the website linked to the specific subpages or to the regional websites that host all the information or where they can find the maps. So there's a number of great maps for your area that are already available both online and offline as well, such as the St. Mary's Trails map or the Stratford and Perth County cycling map, and also a great online resource map where people can find those trails as well. So looking at some of the different routes that are available in the area, there's some great road cycling in that area, as a lot of routes in your area are not very frequently traveled by cars, and there's a lot of secondary roads which are perfectly suited for road cycling and also for gravel cycling on those routes that are not paved. And then there's also a number of great trails and mountain biking, such as the Wildwood Conservation Area that features a number of trails and different trail systems that people can go out and cycle if they want to get more into the countryside, but also don't want to cycle on roads shared with traffic. And a great way of also always promote cycling and get more people to the area are regional events. So we know that the Perth County Cycling Tour is already planning an event as well, and hopefully this year it will be possible going forward with it, or other than that maybe in next year. But drawing cyclists to your area with events is a great opportunity to get them come and experience your cycle assets. So why Perth County, St. Mary's, and Stratford? There's really a number of reasons why people can come to your area and also enjoy cycling, and you're well positioned to attract cyclists for a number of reasons. For example, the cross-regional connectivity, the G2G trail goes through the area, and we know a lot of people use that cycling route to travel from Guelph to Goderic. So it's a great opportunity to bring cyclists into Perth County and then maybe keep them there as well to experience more of the cycling assets and the trails and roads, and come down to Stratford, for example, or to St. Mary. And having a lot of tourism businesses in the area as well, we know that there's a lot of great businesses from breweries to accommodations and attractions. So it's a great way to get those businesses ready to attract cyclists and to welcome cyclists. So having the infrastructure and having the amenities in place that our cyclists are looking for is really a great way to start this and get more cyclists to come. to the area. Also, having community and partner support. We know Cycle Stratford is working very hard in the area to promote cycling and organize events and get rides together. And having all this support and partnership with local stores and operators is really something that can be leveraged to get more cyclists come to the area and really have a great time when they're cycling. So I want to dive a little bit deeper into the Ontario by Bike network as well. And the network has undergone quite a bit of a transformation since we originally started the program. It was launched back in 2008 as the Welcome Cyclist Network when it piloted in Niagara, and then it was rolled out in 2010 in a number of areas. And we have really kept our core mission to promote and develop cycle tourism across the region and make Ontario a better place for cyclists and have businesses that cyclists can visit and really enjoy cycling across the province. So along that way, there were a few milestones that we reached and that we're very proud of, such as reaching over 1,500 certified businesses in 2019. And we're now also present in over 41 regions, which we're having Huron County and Perth County as the last two regions joining us, which we're very excited about. And we also launched our small group tours in 2015, which we are now running every year. And Luisa already mentioned it. They have become super popular. We usually sell out all the tours every summer and have a great community who is coming to ride with us. Many people who come every year for multiple tours as well. Looking a bit closer at the last year in 2020 with all the disruptions that happened, we were still able to really promote cycling and kind of use that surge in domestic tourism and driving cyclists to all the places in Ontario, providing them with information. So we have seen that now really people are looking to get out to those places and experience cycling. So having the Cycling in Ontario guide with over 40,000 copies going out in French and English in the Ontario market, but also in Quebec as well, and small numbers in the US, which were obviously smaller in the last year. So a few more things that I already mentioned, but Ontario by Bike is also working on numerous workshops and webinars that we held all over Ontario. And I already said it, we had the last two regions joining us, Perth County and Huron County, now in May, which makes the program almost available all over Ontario. And we also had Northwest Ontario joining us in 2020, closing the gap in Northern Ontario, having the whole northern region of Ontario as part of the network as well. And a number of other activities that we are working on is also the Cycle Tourism Conference, which we hold every 3 years, and which is a great conference where cycling stakeholders and related businesses and tourism partners can gather together to exchange information and to learn all about the cycle tourism market in Ontario as well. And we do a lot of research and consulting, helping like people to learn more about the cycling market, get all the information that is relevant, or help them with certain projects such as route development as well. So once again, the growth of the business, we have seen over 1,500 businesses in 2019, and it's continuously part of our program is also that we make sure that all the businesses that are part of our Ontario by Bike network are still operating and are also still following the guidelines and the criteria, which I will tell you a little bit more about later. So we really want to make sure that we have businesses part of the network that are actually still up and running. So we continuously take care of that and monitor all the businesses that are part of our program. On this slide, you can see a bit of an overview where most of the businesses are located. So it's great to have literally Ontario by Bike bicycle friendly businesses all across Ontario. And we can see a huge spike in southeastern Ontario, but nevertheless, it's really diversified, and we see that places are all over the place in Ontario. So really great to have that widespread out network of cycle friendly businesses. Looking at the type of businesses, and I will go into the criteria and categories a little bit deeper afterwards. We do certify them in a number of different categories, and the by far largest category of businesses that are parts are accommodations, which is great because, as we already heard, many cyclists are often out on multi-day trips, so they're looking for places where they can stay and where they can also leave their bike secured. And so that is really great to have that many accommodations that are bike friendly in Ontario, but also a large number of restaurants and attractions, as well as wineries, breweries, and other types of businesses. Really great how diversified the type of businesses are in our program. So what does it take to be a bicycle-friendly business? And when we started the program, we, as Luisa already mentioned, looked at a variety of other programs similar to ours across the globe and see what they are doing to welcome cyclists and also, more importantly, to keep them coming back. And over the years, we have really learned from the experience that we made that it is really important to adequately cater to the needs of cyclists to make them coming back. So based on the information that we gathered and the research we did, we kind of created the program in a way that it fits the Ontario market the best and create a uniform standard of criteria so we can ensure that when someone visits an Ontario by Bike certified business, no matter where in the province, they can expect the same standard all across the place. So who can participate then? The program is free of charge for all the businesses that are in a region that is part of the Ontario by Bike program. And now I would like to give you a bit of a deeper overview about the categories that I mentioned. So accommodation providers, that's really any accommodation where a cyclist might want to stay, from a hotel, motel, a bed and breakfast, or an inn, but there are certain limitations. For example, Airbnbs are restricted from the program unless they're also listed on another platform or have their own websites. And by platform, I mean, like, for example, the bed and breakfast platform from Canada. So we have certain criteria there as well. Then we spun out campgrounds as its own category, as well as food service providers, which could be a cafe, a restaurant, but also a food truck. So a number of different places as well. And often businesses can fall under multiple categories. So if you're unsure when you register your business, and we can list you under multiple categories at the same time, or you can reach out to us and we help you evaluate which category would be the most suitable for your business. Tourist attraction as well is a very large category with a variety of different business types. This could be a museum, for example, but it could also be a natural or cultural heritage site, or a theater, or sometimes a library if there's also certain information where cyclists can find at that place. So a lot of different businesses as well. And we also certify business areas. So for example, a BIA or a downtown area, if there is already a number of businesses in that area and cycling infrastructure given, then we can certify that entire area as well. Other cycling related businesses, this basically means bike shops, tour operators, and also bike rentals. So they are excluded from the criteria that we have for other business types, as their core target group are cyclists indeed. So looking at the criteria, as I mentioned, we really want to make sure that when cyclists visit a location that it's actually beneficial for them. So we came up with those criteria for each business category, and they can all be found on our website. Outlined here are just some of the most important ones. So for example, having secure bike lock area. So no one wants to leave their bike unattended, unsecured, and then come back and the bike is stolen. That's usually every cyclist's biggest nightmare. And we also want to make sure that local businesses have cycling information on site. So we really provide you with that information. So when you sign up with Ontario by Bike, you will get our Welcome Cyclist Kit for your region that includes important and useful information that you can share with your customers as well. It also includes a window decal like the one you can see in the picture in the middle next to the TripAdvisor one, with our logo that you can put in your storefront. And the logo is very well known by cyclists all across Ontario, so it really helps you to identify your business as a bicycle-friendly business. Then another small thing is having a basic bicycle repair tool set. So we've learned from many businesses and cyclists that those small things can go a long way and are really appreciated by cyclists. So if they come to your store and they have a flat tire or a minor issue, you can provide them with this basic tool set that is always really welcomed and appreciated. Same goes for having rest areas and washrooms available on site, because there's often limited availabilities when cyclists are out on the trails or on the roads. So how does the process work to get registered? It's a very straightforward process, and we want to make it as simple as possible for you. But along the way, if you have any problems or trouble with it, you can always reach out to us, and we're very happy to help you or guide you through the process. So it usually starts with going on the website and have a look at the different categories and the criteria for each category to familiarize yourself with that. And then basically just create a user account from where, once you log in the first time, you will be able to create a new listing and submit that. Once that comes out on our end, we will have a look at it and make sure that everything is in line. And when we accept the listing, you will be part of the program, and we will send you the welcome toolkit with the cycling information and the window to call. So there are not only benefits for cycling visitors to come to a bicycle-friendly business, but also for you to be part of the network as well. And one of the main advantages to join our network is really to get that additional exposure to this growing market. And we've heard it from Luisa already. We had a huge surge in cyclists and people looking for cycling-related information. So getting your business up and running with Ontario by Bike and get your own listing on our website really helps you to tap into that growing market and also increase your online footprint. So you will have your own listing on our website as well as your custom icon on our Google Maps. So you can upload pictures for your listing, your logo as well, and additional information, and it will be tied to your personal business website as well. So it's really helpful to have that large exposure and to have that extra online visibility for cyclists looking for information. Then being a part of the network will also give you additional access to all the work we are doing, all the research, plus the webinars and workshops. You will get our industry newsletter, which includes a lot of information that is very valuable to attract cyclists to your area and to your business. And so it's a great way to be part of that large network with over 1,500 certified businesses. And yeah, we are excited and that we can roll this program out and hopefully get a lot of great places in Perth County to become part of the program. So looking a little bit at the numbers again, and Luisa did already mention this, but the numbers were through the roof last year and as well this year. Now in spring, we've already seen so many more visitors using Ontario by Bike's website or signing up to our newsletter with over 15,000 subscribers. And what is great to see is really that the cycling community is a very engaged community that really likes to interact with us or look at our content. We just don't send the newsletter out into the void. We can really see from the opening rates and the click-through rates that many people are eagerly awaiting it and are reading the information that we provide. Same goes for our social media pages. We put the information out and people comment on our things, on our posts, or share our posts. And having this landing page, and I see that there's a little typo on this slide. It should be for Perth County, obviously. So you will have that great places to cycle page where then people can also go on the map and find all the businesses as well. So some of the other marketing and promotion tools that we are leveraging at Ontario by Bike, and Luisa said that already, print is not dead, and we can definitely see that from our Cycling in Ontario guide, as we have already distributed over 70% of the 2021 version early this year, which was a huge spike, and we're very pleased to see. And we run a survey every year to see how the guide was welcomed. So last year, we were very happy to receive that great feedback that over 76% find the guide useful or very useful in their trip planning process. and also very reassuring that over 50% of the readers are actually visiting destinations that are featured in the guide. So with having this shift focus towards promoting domestic tourism, we've also seen this great opportunity for regions and tourism partners to advertise their businesses and their regions through the Ontario by Bike guide, but also through our website. And we also have an extended partnership with Destination Ontario, which will help us to further promote cycling through social media, influencers, and also the distribution of the guide. Plus, we are working on an overhaul of our website, which will come later this year. So a few more marketing and promotion things that I just very briefly want to go over. The window decall, as already mentioned, is very helpful to identify your business and also help to spread the brand of Ontario by Bike and reassure cyclists that they are at a bicycle-friendly place. And we also have very great media relations and local, provincial, and international media partners that often feature cycling and cycling in Ontario, as well as the Ontario by Bike network in their articles and through their magazines and newspapers. So event marketing under normal circumstances, we would have attended all the great consumer travel shows, not only in Ontario, but also for the Quebec market at the Montreal Velo Show. And we really hope that we can go back to all those great shows next year, as it is always a great opportunity and a great way to directly interact with all the eager cyclists that are in Ontario, but also in Quebec, and some even traveling to Canada for those shows from the US. So we will have a question part at the end, but just if anyone has some specific questions about the certification program right now, you can just unmute yourself or also ask your question at the end. Okay, I'll take that as a no, but obviously, as I mentioned, if anything comes up during the process, you can reach out to us via phone or email, and we will happily help you through the process as well. So with that, I will give it back to Luisa, and she will tell you a little bit more about uncovering some new business opportunities as well. Luisa, you're muted.
Yeah, I got it now, thanks. So when we do work around the province, helping different destinations become more attracted to cycle tourism, there's really a number of different points that we take into consideration and fall under the following areas. And no one region is the same as another, which makes it some wonderful, unique cycling destinations. But what is important is to have some of all of the following. So infrastructure is usually the biggest piece and most challenging, and definitely the most costly as well. But making sure that there are the right trails, they're maintained, there's roads with preferably paved shoulders. Also having other types of facilities, which include bike parking in your downtown cores or near the businesses that you want folks to stop at, and signage to help direct cyclists, whether it be off the nearby trail into the communities or just for navigating. So some of those pieces are very expensive, of course, and do take a long time as far as roadwork planning in the community, but is a definite huge piece to developing a cycle tourism destination. Having also the services, so the right combination of services and the breadth and the number of services that are certified as bicycle friendly and know how to welcome cycle tourists is very important. The information and marketing, so how are cyclists getting the information to find the different areas, making sure that there are great digital resources, there are print resources that they can use, and there's promotions that go around that as well, whether it's through advertising or blogs. It's been wonderful. We've had a couple of Stratford Destination Stratford blogs over the past year on our website, and they've really had a lot of exposure and included information about cycling elsewhere in Perth County as well. The transportation piece is also an important consideration, considering how folks are actually getting to your destination. So perhaps in Perth County, Stratford, St. Mary's, most of your cycling visitors are arriving by private vehicle, as there's not a lot of other options, but perhaps they are using a train, and cycling from a nearby via station is one consideration. Cyclists also do cycle in and cycle out, so they might not even have a vehicle with them when they're coming to visit your destination. And of course, none of this would be possible without partnerships. So there's wonderful that there are a number of very active partners and looking to grow cycle tourism in your area. So moving forward, there's some great opportunities to really evaluate what's already existing and look at what some gaps might be and how we can further grow cycle tourism. And I know we've had some conversation with our partners here specifically about this, and they're actively looking for some further ideas to grow this product. So we've also done some research over the years with businesses, and we've looked internationally at businesses that are catering to cycle tourists and are very popular, and the majority of their business is actually coming from cyclists. And we really narrowed in on about 25 different businesses around the world, US, Europe, I think there might even be an Australian one or so there, and looked at what they were doing to grow that market, but also get those cyclists to return to their business year over year. And we found some of the pillars of success were might seem obvious, but were really some areas that these businesses collectively pursued, and they included customer service and amenities. So the businesses were going well beyond the basics in what they were offering to cyclists. They also created innovative products and packages that spoke directly to the cyclists looking to come to their location. They worked with a variety of different partnerships and also helped build the local cycling culture where they were located. And of course, marketing, communications, and promotions were very big and high on their lists, and they often wove cycling right in directly with the story or the image and brands that they presented towards the public. So that you can find that research report and a lot of our other research pieces at our organization's website, as stated at the bottom of the slide. So we just want to leave you before we wrap up tonight with some ideas that you might want to pursue if you are a business yourself, on ways that you can further develop and reach this growing market. Firstly would be to enhance your appeal and connect directly with cyclists. So there's a number of ways that that can be done by including some touch points, what we'd say, about cycling in your information that you present towards your business. So that could be including a cycling motif right in your interior design within your business, to making some fun bike racks that allure cyclists from their roads or trails nearby. Making sure that the Ontario by Bike logo is included on some of your promotions, and we have that digitally as well. So we do give permission for folks to print that up and look at creative ways to include that. And yeah, there's ways that you could reach out to different cycling clubs that may be beyond your area, or to events that are coming, cycling events to your area, and look at ways that you can potentially partner with them to get your product and to get your service directly to cyclists and promoted to them directly. So there's some opportunities also around developing new products and experiences and services that cyclists would enjoy. So some ideas there might be, if you're a retail location, say an art gallery or a brewery, winery, making sure that there is a delivery option available. Cyclists will pay for that as a separate charge. So maybe you're offering a service to deliver their goods to their hotel for the night, or there's a way that it can be couriered directly to their home address and waiting for them upon their return, noting that cyclists don't always have the bags on their bikes to carry goods that they might buy on the way. We've also seen events that aren't cycling events host bike valets, so that's a great way to encourage local residents and visitors to actually cycle to the event and have a safe place to park their bikes when they're at and experiencing the day out. There's also ways to combine different themes that might talk to cyclists or talk directly to the type of cyclist. So creating packages and they can be as easily as suggested as just including on your website some ideas of what cyclists might want to do when visiting your business and visiting the area itself. So some of these ideas are very easy to activate, so they can be digital format. They don't necessarily have to be a big print and expensive promotional campaign, but we always say to businesses, make sure you include some type of cycling information on your website. If you've got a how to get here kind of page or location directions, maybe you want to consider including some cycling directions as well off the nearest cycling route or trail that might be nearby. And of course, make sure that there are some photos of cyclists visiting your business that you can use for promotions and talking directly to that market. And finally, leveraging relationships and building partnerships, that's very important. I encourage you to reach out to your local tourism organizations. So whether it's Ashley from Perth County or Zach and his team from Destination Stratford or Kelly from Town of St. Mary's, there's a lot of great things that are happening, and I'm sure that they have information about all the tourism related activities within your area. So making sure you're connected with the tourism partners as well as maybe the local cycling club or any events. We've also seen some really interesting partnerships happen in other areas around Ontario, where a group of bed and breakfasts situated around a larger area have come together and created a cycle and stay kind of network where they offer for a small charge luggage to be transferred from one location to another. Yeah, and so there's definitely a lot of ideas and a lot of room to be creative and to, for low cost, think of ways to further reach this market and further develop cycling and cycle tourism in your area. And now I'm going to turn it back to Simon.
Thanks, Lisa. So yeah, as promised, we will let you all go tonight at 8 to enjoy the rest of this beautiful evening. But we do want to give you the opportunity to ask some questions, or if you have any comments or anything related to cycling from a story that you could share with us. It would be great to hear something from you as well. So if anyone just wants to unmute themselves and share a few words.
Yeah, I believe the Cycle Stratford folks were gonna share a few words with us. I'm not sure whose camera or microphone's on.
If I may, I just wanted to quickly mention that Destination Stratford's annual general meeting was a few hours ago, and it was made very abundantly clear that cycle tourism is something that we're intentionally pursuing. And in attendance, we had mayor and several councillors, and there's nothing but enthusiasm for this as a concept in this region, and I know the same is true in St. Mary's and with Perth County. So this is just a huge opportunity, and we already have a lot going for us. So I know there's some great representation from Cycle Stratford here, and I really hope that someone here can speak to the Perth County cycling tour, which happened despite the pandemic last year and is already in place again for this year. And we'll be touring through St. Mary's, but it's just remarkable what they've done, and it speaks volumes as to a major event like this that can happen safely during the pandemic and what that means when we get post-pandemic. So hopefully someone can speak further to that from Cycle Stratford.
I think there's about 4 of us on, and we haven't pre-scripted this, so we don't know who's going to talk. Should I just do something quick? So it'll be our third Perth County cycling tour, and we launched this obviously in 2019, specifically with the goal, well, a number of goals. One is to have a local event for the club riders and cyclists in town, but having done some cycle tourism ourselves, we realized that that Stratford was currently a little bit of a void on the map. There's things happening in Kitchener, there's things happening in Waterloo and Collingwood and places like that, but we're so well situated with what we call the rural routes for people, especially for riders from the GTA, to get out and really see beautiful country and paved road, mostly paved roads, and to experience something different. And we thought it would really, really work well connected with the existing tourism industry, being mostly based on the festival theater. In that we timed the ride specifically for Sunday morning because it's a quiet time, but also that most of the routes can be done before the plays actually even start. So we've kind of tried to set it up that, you know, it's a nice physical activity you can do outdoors while you're doing other things. And if you happen to have partners who aren't riders, there's lots of cafes and shops and so on to visit as well. And then we start to realize that there's, you know, obviously some really unique little towns around us and destinations like St. Mary's. Last year we went up to Wellesley, which is just outside the county, but we had beautiful scenic routes up towards the northeast corner of Perth County, and we went into Waterloo. And this year we're going back to St. Mary's, and we will tag in a little bit of Oxford County and Harrington. So we think there's a lot of great areas around here, but that's kind of what we're looking at. It's September 12th, Sunday, September 12th. And we do believe that the way things are tracking, that we'll actually be able to shoot for about 150 riders. In 2019, we had 120 as a first attempt. It was a little bit fly by the seat of your pants. Last year was a little more organized, but it was done on very short notice because of the COVID situation. We only had about 6 weeks to relaunch it, and we had a hard cap of 100 riders. And this year we hope that we can do 150 and maybe grow it to 200 and 250, depending on the interest in town and so on and so forth. So we do think it raises awareness. It's good for local riders. It's good for tourism. It's good for visitors. We hope it's really a win-win-win.
That's great. Thank you so much, Paul. And yeah, we're very happy to hear that despite everything, you will be able to run it again. And we agree. Like I said, events are absolutely a great way to attract more people, to bring them out, and also afterwards really get them to visit all those businesses that are in the area, go to the cafes, the stores, or even stay for multiple days with all the great accommodations that are in place. So definitely on the right way there, and we're very excited to see how you're moving forward with this.
Yeah, well, we're happy to see this kind of a conversation. I think it's I'm not being negative to say it's long overdue, but it's a good time to do it, to find new activities, new tourism opportunities for such a great area, and not to mention that we actually are a hub to local areas as well. So not just the places in Perth County, but Hydrocut, cycling, the Pines down in Woodstock. So within a half-hour drive, there's a lot of different types of riding. So thank you.
Thank you. So then I guess with that, there's just a few last things, the next steps that I will quickly go over with you before we let you all go. And thank you so much for joining us tonight. So for those here with a business or who are working for a business that you think would be a great addition to the program, we really encourage you. The registration process is now open. The page is online. So go on the website, register your business and join our program. So we are really excited to see all those great places in Stratford, Perth County, and St. Mary's to come and join our program. Also, if there is anyone you think would be great to share this information with, we will have a second session again on Wednesday for those who weren't able to join us tonight. But we also recorded this session, so if there's anyone who would like to get access to the recording to share it with someone, we can certainly provide you with that. And then also all the great business ideas and things that Luisa went over with you. There is so much creativity and small things that can be implemented and can go a long way. So if you took away some interesting information from there, or even if you come across something through any other channel, we encourage you to use that creativity and put those small cycling bits and pieces in your business as well. So with that, I would like to say thank you again to everyone who joined us tonight, and also a very big thanks to our partners at Stratford St. Mary's and Perth County, Ashley, Zach, and Kelly. So we are very happy that we were able to roll out the program and bring it to your area, and hopefully have a great partnership together and get a lot of cyclists out and discover your great routes and all your great businesses as well. So thank you very much for joining us, and I wish you all a very nice rest of the evening.
Thank you and good night.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, everyone. Thank you.